Hey everybody, this is a new engine that I started building. It's a 2010 LC9, variable valve timing, displacement on demand, all that garbage. So that's all being deleted. I tore the engine down, got it cleaned up and painted. I painted it a metallic purple. I think it was made for chrome, but it came out really nice on the aluminum after it cleaned up. So what we're going to do is get rid of the towers that fed oil to the lifters, to the displacement on demand lifters. And the way we're going to do that is countersink and tap for these hex head 3/8x16 bolts. It's actually kind of cool. Just drilled a 9/16 hole here so the head of the bolt can go down almost flush. I do have to still drill that one a little bit, but it's coming out kind of nice. So I did one just as a test piece and it turned out awesome. I got a bunch of metal filings in the engine, but that's not a big deal because it's completely empty. There's no cam, no anything left in it. So I still got to vacuum it out and blow it, you know, just to get rid of all the filings, make sure it's good and clean. Clean up and hone the cylinder walls and gap the rings. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm going to document all of it. So now we'll try to tap these and see how it works out. I got the camera set up here in about the best way I can so I can do the work without getting in the way. Basically what we got to do right now is get the head of this bolt recessed into here so it doesn't stick up, because the valley cover is really close to flush with this tower. So we got to get the head way down into the valley tower. So we're going to drill it out. So we'll drill it a little bit, check it. It's still up a ways yet. I gotta try to get this as straight as possible so we don't get it crooked into the cylinder head, or into the block, sorry. And we're about there. So now we'll start tapping. So it's a 5/16 hole already, which is the correct hole size for a 3/8x16 tap. And that's what this is, just a regular Allen hex head bolt with a 3/8 coarse thread. And I drove a socket onto a tap just so I can use a ratchet, make it easier. This is only basically trial and error at this point for me, because I was going to do a 1/8 pipe thread, but I couldn't get any with a blind Allen key. Just a square head and it would have stuck up too far. Here we go. Much better. And that is almost flush. So this is going to work perfect. It's going to separate this oil passage from the rest of the engine. We won't lose any oil pressure, maybe from the lifters. I'm not exactly sure, but a lot of the stuff I've been reading on forums about these holes is you definitely plug them off. Now you can buy an LS2 valley cover that has already the caps, the sealed O-rings, sorry, for this, but if I can do it for free, why not? Sweet! Got them all plugged up. Now we just have to take all the bolts back out, clean the block, get rid of all this old aluminum filings. We don't want any of that left in there. Just going to basically vacuum it, blow it out, and probably run a little bit of degreaser through it, because I still have to hone the cylinders. I still got to hone them, freshen them up, gap the rings, and clean all that up anyway. So there is going to be a little more contaminants going in there, but before I do final assembly, I'll get it all completely clean, spotless, so we got no chance of any contaminants in the oil. So that's it for plugging the oil galleries for the towers going to the lifters. Now the next thing to do is modify the stock valley cover to get rid of the DOD on this side. So basically I'm going to cut out all of this old solenoid packs, plug this hole here where the sensor plug-in goes on, and each one of these galleries here, this is all going to go. I'm going to cut the gasket here, here, you know, wherever the gasket is connected, and take out that whole center and just use the outside section of the gasket. And right here is where the oil gallery comes out of the block right here. Oil goes through here, feeds through each individual runner down to the lifters, so that's all going to go. There is a port that comes in right here, and I think it goes, you know, over here somewhere. And if I don't plug this, it's going to piss oil all over the inside of the block, and I'm going to lose oil pressure, and it's going to be a bad day. So I had to take this apart, check it out, see what I got to do to plug it. I think around here somewhere there's a hole coming in on a taper that I might have to do a 1/8 pipe thread, or maybe something smaller, and basically block that off. This is going to be a low buck boost engine. I'm not going to spend any unnecessary money on, you know, parts that aren't necessary. If I can modify them and make them work finally anyway. I am going to change the cam, put different lifters in it, like LS7 lifters, but that's what I would call necessary upgrades, so the engine doesn't shit the bed and put rods all over the place, or pistons all over the place, or burn oil, any of that stuff. Another common problem part is the screen. It's basically a filter that stops contaminants from getting up into the lifter galleries, and this one plugs up and gets all full of dirt and crap, and then you get low oil pressure going up to your lifters, and they fail to pump up, or they stay collapsed, whatever. And that one was down in here like this, and then your oil pressure sensor is right here, and this can cause a false reading to your oil pressure sensor. If this is plugged up in here, there's no oil getting up to your sensor, and your engine could be saying low oil pressure, ding ding ding, reduced engine power, all that crap, and it might not be the cause. It could be the screen that's in here. So this is another common reason why this system is problematic, and people end up deleting it. I'm doing it because I'm going to high horsepower application. We're, well, what you call high horsepower nowadays, I guess. We're going for about 600 horsepower. So with this all got to go. I'm going to be putting a bigger cam in it later on, and it's just in the way at the moment, so it's going. I have no idea what I'm doing here, but I'm going to try to figure out how to get rid of this whole pedestal for all the sensors and all that crap. So I guess I got to cut off these rivets. I tried drilling them, I tried pounding on them, none of that worked. So I'm going to try and cut it flush with the pedestal right here on all of these rivets. I don't know, there's probably 10 or 12 there. So I'm going to get the angle grinder out and slice all that off, and we'll see how it goes. Still got all my fingers. Awesome. So now let's see if I can pry this pedestal off and get all that crap out of the way. Sweet. So this whole gasket came off in one piece. Like I said, all I have to do now is cut each individual piece that holds this center in and toss that in the garbage. And just use the outer piece, or I might buy a new one, see what happens. It looks like it's in actually really nice shape. Like it's not chewed up or anything. It's dirty, but it's not gross. And here is our track, our galleries where oil used to go out to the DOD lifters, but we're not going to use it anymore. So we do have one port. This is where the oil comes in. This is the screen that is pretty common for getting all plugged up. But this one actually looked pretty decent besides what I put in it with the grinder. But so this is the port here that we have to block off. And this would be a pretty big orifice to have a really nice oil leak, because now that we have the DOD lifter plugged off, or the towers plugged off, this is just a straight shot with oil going everywhere. So I have to figure out now to tap this one and put a plug in. So what I came up with is this hole, an M6 bolt fits perfectly in there with no wiggle at all. So I think a quarter bolt, which is this one, quarter course thread, I think if I threaded it to accept this bolt, screw it in there, cut the head out of it, and basically take this one, cut the head off, and cut a notch directly across the middle so I could put it in with a flat top screwdriver and maybe use some thread locker or JB Weld or something to really hold it in there. I skipped a couple steps, but it was pretty self-explanatory anyway. So what I did was ran a quarter by, I think it was 20 tap down through that hole, and it fit nice. It wasn't like digging or anything. It didn't seem to crack moving any material. And also, if I can get this to focus, here we are. This is that quarter bolt that I had a second ago. Just cut the head out of it and ran the hacksaw over it a couple times, so a flat blade screwdriver fits perfect. So now we're just going to run this into the cover, grab our flat screwdriver, which I hate because they suck, and screw this in there and test fit it. I think it's going to fit like a dream. Yeah, so this is what we got. Move the light a little bit. Here we go. Right there. Fits perfect. Probably could have been a touch bigger, like maybe an 8mm bolt, but I didn't have a tap for it. But I'm going to drive it in with JB Weld, and this engine's not going to be running this year anyway, so it's going to have a whole lot of time to set up. So once I get that in there and put together, I'm going to clean up all these old rivets heads and all that stuff, and really clean up this cover. I'm also going to clean up the top of this cover, clean it up, get rid of all this old corrosion, grease, all that crap. You're not really going to see it, but I know it's going to be there, and I hate when stuff looks dirty. So I'm just going to clean it up, paint it black, and of course change out this sensor and really clean up the oil gallery while I'm in there. And try to figure out what I'm going to do with this. Am I just going to leave it? Am I going to try and pop it out and, I don't know, JB Weld a plug in there or something? I don't have anything to weld aluminum, so I might just leave it. If it doesn't leak, it doesn't leak. But other than that, we basically have our DOD delete. As for plugging galleries and stuff, that's pretty much done. So the next video basically will be tapping all these holes and making sure every one of them is nice and clean and correct, because if you got dirt, grease, grime, anything in there, you're not getting an accurate torque spec. And you really want an accurate torque spec on these cylinder head bolts, especially when you're going 2 sets of 90 degrees. You don't want anything in there contaminating, messing up your torque spec, and end up either twisting off a head bolt or not getting the correct torque, which you don't want either one of them, because especially if I'm putting 15 pounds of boost through it, you don't want a head bolt slacking up or lifting the head, warping it, whatever. So yeah, that's another video for another day. Have a good one, everybody.